All right, what's going on, my friends? Misha Wilson here, and welcome to another episode of Behind the Scenes with an Internet Millionaire. Now, if you'd like to discover the correct way to launch Facebook ads, to generate awareness, to get clicks, and to most importantly, make sales, stick around and watch today's video through until the very end, as essentially I'm going to walk you through the exact setup that I went ahead and kind of rolled out and created for the new brand that we're going ahead and growing, so you can copy it for yourself to make sales for your own business, whether or not it be a supplement company, a coaching company, an e-commerce company, or for that matter, anywhere in between. Now, with that said, once again, this series is, again, where you get to watch myself, an internet millionaire, build a new brand essentially from the ground up. If this is your first video, I recently purchased a brand that has very little traction, almost no momentum after COVID, and you get to watch me build it, up to the goal of it being a 7-figure business. Now, if you've missed any of the previous episodes, be sure to go back and check them all out. I'll leave a link to the episodes in the description below, and then also in the email that I went ahead and sent you this video with. With that said, let's go ahead and dive right in. All right, guys, so since the last video, what I want to go ahead and show you is firstly the advertorial that we've gone ahead and created to model or, to be honest, copy the advertorial that the company was using before. All right, so the first thing I want you to notice is, even though if you've watched the previous videos, this advertorial is not necessarily the perfect advertorial in my own mind, and I do see things that could change. I do see things that could be improved, even though I see those various things that I personally, if I wrote this thing from scratch, would have definitely written different and created differently, if I was first getting started, because we know this is getting a result, or at least, we think this is getting a result based on, of course, the previous owners giving us the data. Because once again, we know this is getting a result, we're fine with just running this as is. All right, so the first kind of micro lesson that I've gone back to quite a few times is very simply, in marketing, be willing to test everything. Even if something does not make sense, even if something doesn't necessarily seem like it's going to convert, be willing to test it, be willing to put yourself out there, and essentially look at everything as a feedback loop, right? Like I tell most of my students, or all of my students, again, every single thing that you do in your marketing should just very simply be a feedback loop. Don't look at it as failure if you don't make a sale, because ultimately the only thing that's happening is you're getting a feedback loop mechanism telling you what to change, how to change it, how to improve it, and ultimately how to optimize. So this is the page that we are going to be going ahead and running traffic to. As you can see, if you've watched the previous video, this looks exactly like their review advertorial. And again, this is a very simple page that walks them through the best, top 3 fat burners in 2023, and essentially positions TestoFierce as the best of the 3 options. And they click through on the actual page. It brings them over to the sales page right here, where they can go ahead and purchase the product. And we, of course, have the different options down here. And if you watched the previous videos, you've already seen the sales funnel that goes ahead and comes after, when they purchase the front end product. If you have not watched the previous videos, be sure to go ahead and watch the previous videos again, because this is honestly the highest impact element of, essentially increasing the average order value, the upsells that is. And I believe I covered it in chapter 5 right here. So be sure to go ahead and watch that. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive into our Facebook ads and what we have set up to go ahead and launch out to begin with. So in the previous episodes, we went ahead and created our likes campaign together. Our likes campaign, again, just to warm up the warm up the account, warm up the AI, have the AI essentially not shut us down when we actually launch our sales conversion ads, or at least hopefully not shut us down. As you can see, that's getting us Facebook likes for 0.6 cents a like. We've only spent today $15, and let's see what we spent overall now. We spent about $51 in order to go ahead and warm up the account. Usually I would let this spend just a little bit longer. I'd probably spend, $250 or so ideally on likes campaigns, then transition to conversion campaigns for the sake of showing you guys and, getting this off the ground as quickly as humanly possible. And we've had this Facebook ad account for a long time, so it's already seasoned. For the sake of getting up and off the ground, I'm just going to go ahead and go through this now. But if it were you in my position, you had a new Facebook ad account that didn't have history, etc., go ahead and spend about $250 before launching this campaign. Now, let me go ahead and walk you through the campaign structure here so you just see everything A to Z. And this is essentially me giving you for free what most other people charge for and actually giving you better content than what other people charge for. All right, so this is our campaign. Now, our campaign from a 30,000 foot view with Facebook ads is where you set the actual objective of, the campaign that you're running. So, as you can see right here, campaign objective, to get awareness, to get traffic, to get engagement, so page likes, etc., to generate leads, to potentially have people fill out, an application, or of course, to make sales. Now, what we're trying to do, obviously, is to make sales and to grow our business. So what I've done here is I've chosen sales. Now, from there, you'll see that I have the advanced budget or advanced campaign budget turned off. All right, now this is worth noting. I will probably show you a variation of what we could do if we wanted to go ahead and use this. This is essentially campaign budget optimization. But for now, we're going to leave this off, and then I'll show you what we would do if we want to go ahead and have this on. So from there, our campaign is our highest level 30,000 foot view, thing within our actual ad structure. From there, inside the campaign, we have our first ad set. Now, inside our ad set, this is where I set the budget because I use ad set budget optimization. And then from there, where we set the actual targeting. So as you can see, I have written out here, Testo Fierce buyers lookalike audience website. I've also chosen my pixel. So really important if you guys don't know, how to create a pixel, how to set up a pixel, how to place a pixel, etc. I can maybe do a separate video for that. I set this up in the background, to be completely and totally honest, but more than anything, understand I have set a pixel up, and this pixel is on the actual, page that we have over here, and then also on the actual sales page here. So every single time someone clicks through on our ad to our website, the pixel will fire. Facebook will see that people click through. Facebook will see when people buy. Facebook will get all the data and ultimately be able to optimize and find, which essentially audiences and pockets of different audiences are giving us the best overall results. So I've chosen, as you can see, the bodybuilding niche pixel, which I created. And also you will see that I chose purchase as the actual action. So essentially what this is telling Facebook is it's telling Facebook that every single time someone purchases, the ad is doing what it's supposed to do. Right? So if we chose add to cart or initiate checkout, every single time someone hit the actual order form, the initiate checkout order form, Facebook would be getting the signal that the ad is successfully doing what it's supposed to do. And then Facebook would go find more people likely to go ahead and hit the add to cart and hit the initiate checkout step, because once again, it's going to find more people who are doing what you want it ultimately to do. So I've set up purchase here because again, we want to make sales, and this is what we want ultimately the goal to be, so that Facebook sees when people make sales and sends us more people who are more likely to make sales. Now here, as you can see, this is where I've set the budget. Now I've set $100 a day as the actual budget here. And what this means is, as you can see, I have 4 different ads. So image 1, image 2, image 3, image 4. What this means is that at the very beginning, after we go ahead and launch, the $100 will be spent pretty much evenly for the first, hour or so, couple hours between image 1, image 2, image 3, and image 4. And then from there, when the artificial intelligence finds out which image is doing best, just based on the data, right? So when the artificial intelligence sees, all right, image 1 is doing better than image 3, image 4 is doing better than image 2, then it will immediately start pumping more of this $100 a day budget into the best performing images. All right, now if we were to use what I showed you a moment ago, and if we were to use campaign budget optimization down here, so advanced campaign budget, essentially what we would want to do is what we've done here for ad sets and ads. So instead of having just, one ad set here and 4 different ads, what we want to do is maybe have 4 different ad sets with different targeting, right? And I'll show you that in just a minute. But we could have a interest targeting where we're targeting influencers, right? We could have buyer lookalike audiences like we have here, which I'll show you in just a minute. We could have maybe different segments of buyer lookalike audiences. So you'll see that I'm targeting United States, Canada, Australia, and UK. We could maybe have an ad set for United States, an ad set for Canada, or an ad set for United States and Canada, and then an ad set for Great Britain and Australia, right? And then what will happen is when we have 4 different ad sets here, if we have campaign budget optimization on and we have our budget at, let's say, $100 a day, the same thing will happen. It'll evenly disperse that $100 a day out to all 4 of the actual ad sets. Same thing, it'll evenly disperse. Let's say it gives it $25 a day to this ad set, and then $25 a day to the next ad set that we'd have. That $25 a day will then be evenly dispersed to these next 4 ads inside each ad set. The artificial intelligence will then figure out which audiences are doing best for you, and then from there pump more of your budget into the actual winning audiences. All right, so probably when I'll use this is ultimately if we launch out a new creative, if we aren't having success with our current audiences. One of the advantages that we have is that we do have a buyer lookalike audience, so I want to start there because that's a proven audience that we know kind of works. But if we aren't having success with that, or if we want to go ahead and test a different message that's different from their message, different messages work with different audiences and different markets. So again, that's when we'll test out campaign budget optimization. So if you come back in here, you will see we've set the budget to $100 a day. Start date being, today. I'll just start it as we go. If this were late at night, I would go ahead and schedule it for the next day. So if I was launching this at 8 o'clock at night, I would schedule it for the next day, because what will happen is if you say, all right, I want to spend $100 and you launched it at 9 o'clock at night, Facebook will try to spend $100 from 9 p.m. to midnight. It'll blow that $100 very ineffectively, and then the next day it will start to go ahead and run effectively, right? So if you're launching campaigns later in the evening, be sure to go ahead and set, once again, your start date as, of course, the next day. Now, as you can see down here, like I mentioned, we are using lookalike audiences of buyers. All right, so lots of you might not be able to do this when you're first getting started. What essentially this is once you get about 1,000 buyers, it's actually less than that, but I like to have 1,000. Once you get 1,000 buyers and you have a spreadsheet of 1,000 buyers, what you can do is you can take those buyers, you can upload those buyers to Facebook as a custom lookalike audience. And if you guys want me to show you how to do this, let me know in the comment section below. If you'd like to learn how to create audiences, let me know. Type in, I want to learn how to create audiences, and I'll know exactly what you guys want to learn next. But essentially what you can do is you can upload a buyers list to Facebook, and you'll have 1,000 buyers in there. And then instead of targeting those 1,000 buyers, what you do is you create a lookalike audience, and you tell Facebook, all right, I want people who just look like these 1,000 buyers. All right. And then Facebook will go find people with, similar interests, similar demographics, similar pages they've liked, all the different data points that Facebook has. Facebook will find people similar to the existing buyers that you have. All right. So it's a hack if you have a buyers list to allow you to streamline your path to having optimal targeting. Now, as you can see, what I've chosen here is Canada, United States, Australia, and UK. These are kind of the big 4. I'd probably include Ireland in there too, but these are the big 4 I'm starting with, partially because the previous owner said that these work well. These are also big countries that I target for our other business as well. So the other thing I want to note is you can see I have 1% to 3%, right? So I have 1%, 1 to 2, and then I have 2 to 3% for all of these various audiences. This is fairly narrow. So as you can see, the estimated size is 8,700,000 to 10,000. It's saying this is kind of in between. If I'm going to go broad targeting, I want to have 25 million plus. This is somewhat narrow. What I'm trying to do here is until we start making sales, I want to focus on a more narrow audience, right? So a more niche kind of, just narrow target for us to get started with that is more refined, but also more proven. And then from there, I can expand out. When I expand out, we will have, 3 to 4, 4 to 5%, 5 to 10%, etc. And with lookalike audiences, the smaller the audience. So a 1% lookalike audience, what that means is it is the most similar audience to your buyers, right? A 2% lookalike audience is similar, but not quite as similar as 1%. A 3% lookalike audience is similar, but not quite as similar as 2% and 1%, and so on and so forth. So the bigger your audience gets, 5, 10%, etc., the bigger the audience is, so you have more potential to make sales to a broader audience, but at the same time, it's not as targeted, right? So usually when I start to use broader audiences is when I have the pixel more seasoned, so after we've made a couple hundred sales at least. Once we've made a couple hundred sales, we will then, broaden up the audiences, go after a bigger audience, scale up the budget, and go from there. So that is the ad set. Then, as you can see here, I have for placements, Advanced Plus, Advantage Plus placements here. All right, now this is something I used to do differently. I used to choose and I'd say, all right, I want manual placements, and I would choose just Facebook for one specific ad. Then the next one, I choose just Instagram for one specific ad. After a ton of various testing, we just use Advantage Plus placements for our overall marketing. One thing I personally want to test internally, don't tell anyone, but I want to test getting rid of the audience network, because that traffic, to be totally honest, was always trash for us in the past. So I want to test getting rid of that with our own personal stuff. But again, this is what's working best for our other campaigns, and so I'm going to bring it over and just use Advantage Plus placements as they are recommending, because hey, it's working for us with our other stuff. We might as well test it here. You'll also see that the age is 30 to 65. Let me get a quick drink of coffee. All right, so we're at 30 to 65. And the reason should be somewhat obvious. Any 20 to 30-year-old, hopefully 30 to 40-year-old, doesn't need too much testosterone boosting. Hopefully, if you're hitting the gym, if you're working out, etc. But hey, with everyone's fucked up diets, with everyone's living style, and with how unhealthy people are nowadays, shit, maybe we'll have to target 18-year-olds coming up here soon. But that said, we're targeting 30 plus because again, the older a guy gets, probably most likely the more their testosterone will come down. That's a fairly safe assumption. The other thing I'm going to change here is I'm going to target just men. All right, now the reason again, obviously I'm targeting just men, but one thing I really like about the offer is just for men. A woman ain't going to be buying a testosterone booster, hopefully, even though it is 2023 after all, so who the hell knows. But that said, having an offer that is very specific to just men allows you to target just men and then speak to just men with your entire message, which allows it to be more impactful. Because again, remember, the more narrow the message, the more likely it will resonate and hit home. And again, you want to niche down in order to kind of gain momentum. Then as you grow, broaden up the overall messaging and try to go more mass market. So maybe that'll be phase 2. So this is our ad set, right? We've set the budget because we're using ad set budget optimization. We have set our audiences here. If we wanted to go ahead and target, influencers and whatnot, you would search in detailed targeting, right? So let's say we're in the internet marketing niche and we want to go after gurus. I can search old Frank Kern here as an example, and we could target Frank Kern, all right? This is obviously very different. And I'm going to delete this because this is people who are similar to this and who like Frank Kern, so that obviously would not make sense. Just showing you how to use interest targeting, right? In the fitness industry, let's say Tony Horton, right? So if we want to target people that like Tony Horton, as you can see, once again, we would search right here, and that's how you use interest-based targeting. So I'm going to delete this for now because we have our lookalike audience. We're going to target people who are similar to the buyers, 30 years of age or older, and who are men, because hopefully only men are buying testosterone boosters. Then from there, we are going to come down to our actual image creative. All right, and I'm going to choose Use Selected Page. And as you can see here, I just have image 1, image 2, image 3, and image 4. And the only thing I'm testing here, what I like to do is I have the same copy, I have the same headline, I have the same everything. The only difference is the actual image. So, universal rule is in marketing, whenever you do anything, you only want to test one thing at once, right? So if you want to test your capture page and optimize your capture page, guess what? Change just the headline. If you want to change something else, do it after you have enough data to know which headline's working best. And then from there, test the button. Then after you know which button's working best, test the sub-headline. Only test one thing at once so that you know what's actually driving the result for your business. So we have 4 different images here. And the reason we have 4 different images is obviously we want the AI to find the image that does best to get the most clicks over to our actual website. From there, don't tell anyone, but I essentially copied their image exactly. All right, and I'm actually going to click and take this off. So I copy their image exactly. One of the things you can do when you go ahead and buy a business, we got permission to do so. So these are their exact same image ads. As you can see, really all this is doing, this is not pre-selling. All right. The ad itself is not talking about the benefits of a testosterone booster. It's not talking about the pains of having low testosterone. It's literally just saying, these are my top rated T boosters for men working right now. So we're not pre-selling. We're not, essentially talking about them buying a product or a service. We're not talking about them buying a supplement. None of that. And so my guess is that these are going to be very cheap clicks, but also maybe not the highest quality clicks, right? So probably what's going to happen is if we had more in the actual ad here, where we're talking about, hey, are you sick and tired of having low energy, not being able to gain muscle, having low libido, and constantly letting your wife down, right? Like the pains of having low testosterone. And would you like to feel like your 20-year-old self again? Then purchase this supplement. If we were to have something like that in the actual primary text here, what's going to happen is because people know that, essentially when they click, they're going to be sold something, less people are going to click, but a higher quality of person when it comes to their intent to buy is ultimately going to click through and purchase the product, right? So kind of pros and cons. We're going to get very cheap traffic here, but at the same time, might not be the most high quality. We'll have to see how this ultimately goes, right? What the advertorial is then going to do is it's going to filter out the, people who are just curious from the actual serious buyers, and then the serious buyers will click through to the actual sales page, purchase, and that ultimately, hopefully, will even everything out. Now, as you can see, this says 3 of 4 partially optimized, so I'm going to go ahead and click Edit here. I'm going to click all optimizations right there. And essentially what this allows us to do is, depending on the placement, depending on where it is, if it's showing up in the Facebook news feed, in the mobile news feed, in the Reels section, in the story section, the Messenger, wherever it might be, it's just going to ultimately make it look best for the actual location it's showing up and the time that it's actually showing up, right? So if it's later in the evening, it might make the image look a little bit darker. If it's earlier in the morning, it might brighten up the image just a little bit, make it look a little bit brighter, it might enhance everything. And again, that's ultimately what we want. So I'm gonna click save like so. As you can see, it says fully optimized right now. That's exactly what we want. And we have single image ads. Now you'll see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different primary texts. So one of the beautiful things about Facebook is, like I already mentioned, here it's going to test and figure out which image does best. It's also going to do that on a micro level within the actual ad itself. All right, so within the actual ad, it's going to be running some of the traffic with this primary text, some of the traffic with this, some of the primary traffic with this, or some of the traffic with this primary text, some of the traffic with this, so on and so forth, right? So it's going to be, essentially split testing with all of these different variations itself. It's going to find the winning combination of the actual primary text and the headline here. And then from there, once it does, it's going to run all of the traffic, or most all of the traffic, with the best primary text and the best headline that's most likely to get the most conversions as we go. So that's why I've gone ahead and added multiple primary texts and multiple headlines. This is one of the gaps the other guys did not have. The other guys essentially were placing 900 ads under one ad set with just one primary text and one headline, with a ton of different versions of the exact same image. And so they were trying to use the AI, but they weren't using it effectively. To use it effectively, let the AI figure out what works best by giving it multiple different options here. As you can see here, I'm using learn more, but really this is optimized. So optimized text per person. This is the call to action. You'll see right here, right? Learn more. When I have this enabled, what it's going to do is part of the time it's going to have learn more, part of the time it's going to have get offer, part of the time it's going to have download, even though download makes no sense, right? Part of the time it's going to have contact us. It's going to find what works best. And sometimes, believe it or not, the ones that make no sense ultimately end up converting better and getting more people through and clicking, right? So what it's going to do, and this is why it's vitally important to set the right goal for the actual ad, right? Like as an example, let's say you set the goal of getting traffic and not making purchases. Maybe to get traffic, contact us here will get the most traffic, but then no one will buy. And so if you see Facebook, or if you tell Facebook that whenever someone comes to my website, that is a successful action, it's going to do all these split tests for you, and it's going to find the thing that best gets traffic for you, right? But if you're not making sales, that doesn't matter. And that's why I always want to keep, again, the purchase as the primary goal. So just a little something to be aware of there. Now, as you can see down here, we have our website URL, and this points over, what did you know, right here to the actual website that we're going ahead and driving traffic to. All right, so best testosterone boosters that actually work. And as you can see from there, everything else is the same in all of these ads. All right, so the one last thing that I want to go ahead and reinforce, you can see I have 5 different versions of the primary text, 5 different versions of the headline. And again, I just have, a lot of stuff for the AI to go ahead and use. If we go to image 2, you will see different image, same primary text, same headlines. All right, we can hit edit here. Let's click all optimizations right up here. Click save, and we are now good to go. You'll see same website, same headlines, same primary texts, same everything. I'm going to click this off just because that's what I do on my other account. I'm also going to choose use selected page, but this just means is that when you're running Instagram ads through Facebook, it's going to be running the ads with this actual page. And as you can see, everything is the same with image 2. The only thing that is different is the actual image itself. All right, so let's come up here. This already has, or no, so use selected page. I'm going to get rid of this. Sometimes it says this, but then ultimately the image will get pushed through. So we'll see when we go ahead and go through that process. When we publish, I'm going to click save. So it's saying the image is too small, right? But now it's disappeared. So I want to go ahead and launch it and then see what happens. But as you can see, primary text, exact same. Headline, the exact same. And image 4, let's come through one more time. Let's turn this off. Let's come in here. Come back down here. All optimizations. And just like that, we should be good to go. All right, now what we're gonna do, last but not least, is we are going to go ahead and publish. All right, so we got everything set up here just the way I want it set up. We are good to go. All the different images. Now I wanna publish all of the images. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come back to the actual ad set, and I'm gonna publish at the ad set level, because when I publish at the ad set level, whoops, let me go ahead and pause this. All right, here we are. So I went ahead and filled out the business tax information. And then the minute I filled out the business tax information, it went ahead and automatically published the campaign. All right, so all that looked like very simply is I hit publish down here, filled it out, and then it said publishing 1 of 6. Why did it say 1 of 6? Because we're publishing a campaign, 1, an ad set, 2, and then 4 different actual ads. All right, so 6 total. Campaign, ad set, 4 ads, 6 total. And we went ahead and published. All right, and so I'm super excited to see how this does. This is essentially the correct foundation to go ahead and launch ads with. If we want to go ahead and test multiple different ad sets, we could use campaign budget optimization. Hey, it might be something that we test even if we aren't necessarily testing different audiences. If we aren't having success with this, we will test that next in order to go ahead and see how that does. This is the supplement world. This is different than what I'm used to with the actual internet marketing world or the info marketing world. So I'm bringing as much info marketing world knowledge over to this as I possibly can. We'll see what the hell happens, right? This ad might crush. This ad might flop. Usually ads flop to begin with. So going in, expectations, never launch an ad the first time thinking the ad is going to do really well. You're setting yourself up for failure. If you do, expect to do horrible. Then when it does do horrible, guess what? Your expectations will be in line with reality. Then you'll look at what worked, you'll look at what didn't, you'll do more of what worked, you'll do less of what didn't, and you'll continue to optimize from there. So with that said, I hope you got a ton of value out of this video. As always, if you did, let me know in the comment section below what your biggest takeaway was. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon notification button, and I will see you in the next video.